I'm Catherine Goshen, a professional astrologer from the village of Nyack in New York State, and I'm passionate about in-depth astrology and getting to the heart of the matter. In this video, I want to talk about the astrology for May and June, and the reason I'm bringing in a part of June this time is we're about to enter eclipse season. And as many of you know, eclipses always work in pairs. And I'd like to bring these together in a video so that we can make sense of the polarities that are being activated. April ended with a very powerful full moon in Scorpio, and part of its power was due to the fact that the planet Pluto was standing practically still in the sky at the time. And when we have this kind of experience where a planet is said to appear stationary from Earth at the time of a full moon, it enhances the depth and the energy that abounds at that time. So I hope that you've had a beautiful full moon, Scorpio full moon, and are ready to start May with a fresh, clean slate. The first astrological happening of note in May is Mercury's move into the sign of Gemini. Mercury is very comfortable in Gemini. It's the planet that rules our mindset and communication. So early May is a great time for all of us to take care of business, to sign those contracts, to get everything in order. And short trips are favored, or even making plans for your upcoming vacation. By the middle of May, Mercury is going to start to slow down as seen from Earth. And at the very end of May, the 29th, Mercury will station retrograde and we'll have a 3-week period. So for the first 3 weeks in June, where Mercury will appear to move backward in the sky and give us all a break from the intensity of plan making and business negotiations and so on. While our lives obviously continue and we have to take care of these things, it's always a good time to build into your schedule some relaxation or downtime. Basically, from May the 4th all the way until mid-July, Mercury is going to be traveling through that sign of Gemini for an extra long period, going back and forth, especially over the degree range, 16 degrees of Gemini to 24 degrees of Gemini. That will be the retrograde period. So if you know your chart and you know which house has Gemini in, especially those mid to late degrees of Gemini, this will be the area that you are asked to revise things in and to take a break. For example, Leo risings, you will have the retrograde in your 11th house, and it will be a wonderful time to reconnect with old friends and to take some chilled time with family. If you'd like to know where the Mercury will retrograde in your own chart, and you know your rising sign, please feel free to watch my 2021 videos for each sign. Now, as we know, we've had Venus, the lesser benefic, who brings us small joys and beautiful treats, has been moving through the sign that she rules, Taurus, from April 14th. And for those of you with Aries rising, you've had a lot of opportunity to bring in extra money or to get your house of finances in order. So around May 9 or 10, depending on your time zone, as always, take a day or two on either side, Venus will be moving into Gemini. And think about that. We've got Mercury moving into Gemini a few days before. Now Venus is moving into Gemini. So we move from a more earthy type vibration to an air type vibration. So as Venus moves through Gemini for May, this is a great time to, if you're thinking of writing an article or publishing something or putting something out there on a blog, this is a good time for communications, especially with Mercury also in the sign of Gemini. So if you haven't felt the drive for a while because things have been moving slowly with those personal planets in earthy Taurus, second week of May will be a good time to activate your writing and communication juices again. And the day after Venus has moved into Gemini, we have a beautiful new moon at 21 degrees of Taurus. So for Taurus suns, this is your special new moon of the year. Set your intentions of what you would like to accomplish in the year that is starting now at your solar birthday until next year. And for all of us, the Taurus new moon is a wonderful time to set intentions for our physical well-being. At this new moon, we have Chiron squaring Mars, and this suggests there is a lot of energy available for healing. And with the new moon energies where we get to set our intentions for the next 28 days, I love the way that Mars and Chiron are there to help us to overcome obstacles which may be in the way of our healing, to see what's holding us back. Perhaps there will be something that we need to push through, and this will be in the Mars-Chiron polarity at that Taurus new moon will be in cardinal signs, which means that it is helping us to activate the energy. So don't just set an intention at this new moon, also act on it. And I like to suggest that this takes place the day after full moon, once the energies have settled, that we begin to put our intentions into action. Then on May the 13th, we have what I consider to be one of the most benefic aspects of the entire year. We have Jupiter moving into the sign of Pisces. Jupiter rules Sagittarius by day and Pisces by night. And when Jupiter enters one of the planets where it has rulership, there is so often a sense of joy, of great things happening, of expansion, and of a feeling of bountiful beneficence. The interesting thing, though, is that Jupiter needs to work together with Saturn. So you cannot wait around for a Jupiter transit for something positive to come into your life. When things are challenging, as during a heavy Saturn period, this is the time we put the work in, so that when we do have a Jupiter transit, we reap something good and we are open to receiving the bounty of Jupiter because we have already sowed those seeds during more challenging times. Now for Pisces suns, you will be experiencing Jupiter to your sun, as will the other mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius, especially if you're born around the 22nd to the 26th of the month. Jupiter will be making an angle to your sun, and this is part of a 12-year cycle. So every 2 or 3 years, We get contact from Jupiter to our suns, and this year it is the blessing of the mutable signs to receive that. So the focus for you, mutable signs, is to use the next 2 months as Jupiter moves into that sign of Pisces to plant seeds of what you would like to grow in 2022, because Jupiter will be in Pisces for a while, then it's going to move back, retrograde back, and only re-enter Pisces in 2022. So this is your opportunity, and it's a window to lay your foundation for next year. And for all of us, we should be feeling a little bit of more positivity creep in. Then on May 21st, we'll have the Sun move into the sign of Gemini, leaving Taurus behind. This usually marks in the Northern Hemisphere the time when spring is well established and we start to get that consistent warm weather, and we start to feel the change, the mutability into the summer season. A few days after the Sun moves into Gemini, and happy birthday to you, Geminis, we will have Saturn stationing retrograde at 13 degrees of Aquarius. So this is something Saturn does regularly. Just to note, if you do have a planet or your rising sign between 11 and 14 or 15 degrees of Aquarius. Also the other fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio, you are going to feel that Saturn station. It can sometimes feel quite heavy in the body, a Saturn station. And it's a great time for some self-care and to take a couple of days to not book your calendar full tilt. A few days after Saturn stations retrograde, we have the first eclipse at the full moon on May 26th. So this is a total lunar eclipse, and it's going to take place at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. So when we have an eclipse cycle in Gemini-Sagittarius, so often we're dealing with communication and opinions and the small picture as compared to the bigger picture. How do we see our lives? How do we integrate what's going on in the world in relation to the media and the greater cycle? Now, very important is that eclipses are only extremely powerful in your chart if that 5 degrees of Sagittarius is being contacted by the eclipse. So this would affect you if, for example, you had a Sun in early Sagittarius, or your ascendant, or possibly Mercury, Venus, or Mars. And if you have your charts, you can check that out. What I like to do is also to see what house the eclipse is falling in, as those issues may come to light. Now, if you do have a point that is contacted by this upcoming lunar eclipse, you may wish to refrain from making any important decisions, especially with regards to business, to money, or to your very close relationships at this time. Because how eclipses work is that things are usually hidden the week before the eclipse, and you are not able to access all the information that is available. Then after the eclipse, this information or new information comes to light, and you are then empowered to make a better decision. And this is all the more true for this particular eclipse on May 26th, because we have a Pluto-Mars opposition in the mix. And what this can do is make us extremely inclined to act hastily, especially with regards to money or to our close relationships. We might feel rash, we might want to make decisions, lend or borrow money, or just blow some money. Try to refrain from taking action, especially in the week and the few days before the full moon eclipse. After the eclipse, things will calm down and you will see things much more clearly, and most likely be glad that you refrained from acting. And for those of you who watch my videos regularly, you know that our major aspect of this year is that Saturn-Uranus square, and that's still hanging out there at the 12 to 13 degrees of fixed signs. So bringing all that into the mix, you might also want to consider that it's not a good time to try to force an issue with anyone or to insist that something is resolved as that moon is building full. You want to once again wait until afterwards and try to take a step back. Resolutions cannot be forced at this time. It's better to contain the tension that you're feeling, because after the eclipse, you'll feel very differently. Now, we just mentioned Mars-Pluto, and I'd like to take a moment to speak about Mars in Cancer, because I'm sure so many of you felt that energy shift on April 24th, excuse me, April 24th, 25th, when Mars moved into the sign of Cancer. And Mars is going to be in Cancer until early June. So we have this energy where for Capricorn rising, you are going to be working on trying to harmonize your partnership, your relationship. For Libra risings, you're going to feel this energized activity in your house of career. And for Cancer rising, you're going to feel this increased energy on self-care and self-image. The thing with Mars in Cancer is that it's a challenge, because Mars likes to be in signs where it can be true to its intrinsic nature, which is to take action, to be courageous, to step forward, and to go out into the world and achieve things. When Mars is traveling through the sign of Cancer, the energy is more introverted, because Cancer is a water sign, and we know that Cancer is often about the home and feeling secure in the home. So for many of the cardinal signs in particular, this can be a challenging period in a good way, because you are forced to confront certain obstacles about yourself, your self-image at the home, in relationships, at work, and to use the Mars in Cancer period to overcome these obstacles and to work through something in one of those places where, one of those areas of your life where by the end of the Mars cycle, you feel as if you are free because you have faced these challenges instead of turning away from them. Mars in Cancer does not like conflict, and I strongly recommend, if you're feeling increased frustrations, especially where yourself is concerned, your partner, home or work, that you take it out in a positive way. For example, exercise daily, or do something out of the home, out of the office, which is new and can give you an outlet for any kind of challenges that you might be facing to do with frustrations. So as June starts off, we are unwinding from that big eclipse, And there's a beautiful shift of pace in the first few days of June when Venus will leave Gemini and move into Cancer. And Venus is very comfortable in Cancer. She loves beautiful things, and that's a great time to beautify the home and for all of us to do a little bit of self-indulgence. For Cancerians, that's wonderful for you to have Venus visiting your sign, a good time to kick back a little and possibly produce a lot of excellent meals in your kitchen. Then we are building up once again to a new moon, and this is our second eclipse. So this is going to be a solar eclipse, an annular solar eclipse, which takes place at the new moon in Gemini. And that solar eclipse will be at 19 degrees of Gemini. And of course, because these two are working in pairs, we're seeing very similar themes. In both the full moon and this new moon, we have Neptune in the mix. And at the full moon chart, we had Neptune contacting Venus and Mercury. At this new moon eclipse, we're going to have Neptune contacting both the sun and moon. So what does that mean for us? It's a really good time to lay low. When Neptune contacts the moon, it's a couple of days of usually not feeling incredibly clear-headed. And when Neptune contacts the sun, we are usually easily influenced by things, and it's not a great time to make decisions or to get involved in gossip or anything which has a relationship to dissipation, because Neptune is like the ocean and it tends to dissipate what it touches. So another powerful thing to do at this time is meditation, and to really try to connect with yourself on a very practical level. When there is a solar eclipse at the new moon, it makes it a super powerful new moon. For Gemini and Gemini rising, this is going to be an incredibly fruitful time for you to set your intentions about where you want to go, because great changes can be made at this time. For all of us, in the new moon chart, Jupiter is unaspected, and this means that there can be a sense of expansion for better or for worse, because Jupiter is running wild. So what you focus on at this time, try to understand that it has the ability to really grow, and you want to make sure that your intentions are something that you are willing to see expand and put out into the world, because what is begun at this time will tend to increase. The day after that solar eclipse, we are going to see Mars switching signs, moving out of watery Cancer and into fiery Leo. So things will get a little bit more active for all of us. And for those of you who have Scorpio rising, this will give you a nice chunk of time, approximately 6 weeks or so, to activate your house of career, because Mars will be traveling through that. And for Leo rising, of course, an opportunity for increased action and vitality, and a good time to work on self-image. So I think that's enough in-depth astrology for today. We do have another full moon at the end of June, but this video has enough information for you to absorb and to start to think deeply about that polarity between Gemini and Sagittarius and what it means in your own chart. So check out the houses where you have Gemini and Sagittarius on the cusp. They're going to be opposite one another. And those will be the areas of your life that you are working on over this first series of eclipses. And if you'd like to find out more about your sun and moon and how they work together, I'll be teaching a class on sun-moon blends on Stormy Grace's channel on May 20th, 2021. You can check that out. And if you enjoyed or found this video helpful, please subscribe, and I love comments always. Until next time, bye-bye.